When you walk him up to his special mat, his work mat, you have him sit. He's going to be on your left. You're never restraining him. If he pops up before you release him to go onto his mat, just tap him and say no. It's really easy. There's no special collar on, it's just a regular collar. So it's really about what you do with the leash and what you don't do with the leash. This kind of stuff will stress any dog out. And of course, that would not be dog training because you're forcing the dog to do something, and that's not what we're trying to do here. So you need to have him wait in a calm sit stay like this. With your right hand, you're going to pat his, see that? And I just tapped him. You're going to pat his chest and say, go to your mat, and then you walk him over and say, down. Good. And then you reward him. Good. He's very thoughtful and not hyper on the mat. Some dogs are, but he's not, and so it's pretty easy to place the reward on the mat. Nope, but do pull away if he tries to take it before you withdraw. Place the, nope. Good, see how he waited? I placed it on the mat and withdrew. And we're at the point where we can step away from him. Step back. Good. And I've just started to try harder things with him. And if you want him to get used to something quicker, you give him a larger reward, such as this, bigger amount, and while he's munching out on that, do something new. I actually just started doing this last night, so it's brand new. For him to have somebody walk around him could be scary. You certainly couldn't do this a couple weeks ago. Good. See that the amount of food keeps him calm so he can handle that new distraction of me walking around him. I'll do it one more time. Good. So he's got the food in his mouth as I do it. And then he becomes desensitized to me doing it, and you don't need the food anymore. And we'll see. So that was really fast. He's a quick study. Once he calms down and starts learning, he's very smart. He learns stuff really quickly. One last reward. Good. And I'm going to go around both ways to just finish it off. And this is the first day he's been able to do a down stay. And we have a lot of noise going on out here too. We have workmen right out there. Oh, you just heard them. They're making all kinds of noise and banging. And he used to be really afraid of that too. So he's starting to stabilize here. Okay. You always release him off the mat like that. Sit. He's a little bit nervous with the camera person standing there. But basically I said, okay, I walked him off the mat. You have him sit off the mat and you release him to be free here like this. Go. So it's really all about the details in this exercise and all of the exercises. You don't want to release them straight out of a downstay because it's real old school, and what we see all the time is the dogs pop up and get hyper and run around, and they lose that focus that's so, especially in the beginning, very, very fragile, because we're trying to build this ever-increasing level of calmness in him by how we release him and how we do these exercises. We're really after the byproduct, ultimately, of how we do the training, which is the dog is calmer and, in his case, not skittish and not afraid, just in his everyday life, 24/7. So even though we spend just a short period of time every day training, we're doing it in a way that transforms him over time into a much more secure, stable dog that's not stressed out by every little thing. And it's already working. You can see how he's far less stressed than in the before video, which was about 2 weeks ago, something like that, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And he's not triggered by outside noises anymore. He'll notice it, but he doesn't jump up and run away like he used to. So these things are already helping him, so if somebody continues doing these things, he'll just keep getting better. Okay. Always walk him up to the person, have him sit. This greeting routine, you step away from him, give the person a treat. Part of this is that he sees you hand them some yummy treat. This is just little pieces of chicken breast. That's all this is. If he pops up before you release him, you say no. And just do this reset, which is very valuable because when you turn the dog away from their mistake, it's a refresh. It's a restart. If you don't turn him away, he could easily get stuck in making mistake after mistake after mistake. Now, he's not used to me talking while I'm doing training like this. And notice how I still only said SIT one time, and then the couple of times that he broke out of that, I just reset him and put him back without saying that command. So the less you say, the better. We never repeat a command. If he makes a mistake, it's basically, you could say no and then reset him, but don't keep saying, sit, sit, sit over and over again, because he'll become desensitized to that command. And even if you say it twice, you're diluting the power of it. So you're always working with a leash so that you can gently but firmly reinforce that first time that you said sit. And you never have to say it twice, and he starts realizing over time the first time means it, and this is just what I do with this person is he says it, she says it one time, and I end up staying there. And that's how we have this really high level of training later on. So he's waiting. I handed him a piece of chicken breast. I'm going to say, go say hi. He's not going to try to pet him. Come, even though he could, because all of my people know Comet now. But if you have people that have one hand outstretched, sit, and then the other hand tries to come over like this, you're going to spook him. He's only good with that right now with people he knows well. So just for him to approach somebody and accept a gift, and then you call him back to come to you, that's a big step for him, because he was really, really super scared, and nope, couldn't even come close to me at first when we first got him, or any of us. So he's come a long way, but he still has a long way to go. So you don't want to do anything that spooks him. Go say hi. Of course, you have the come command, good, even though he comes right back anyway, but you still say that come command. Do your little reset into him, use your body, sit, have him sit, have him wait. You get to practice a little sit stay when you step away from him. This is a safe way to meet somebody as well for him. It's very orchestrated. You're calling the shots. You're orchestrating every step of this. He knows exactly how it's going to go. That's why these great breeding routines work so well with insecure dogs. Go say hi. They know exactly how it goes. Come. And then you start practicing it good with multiple people that he knows. And then you start, once he's really good with people he knows, then you start plugging in a new person. And it makes it much easier for him to accept a new person quicker if you introduce him in a very structured way that he's practiced many, many times before with people that he does know. So the only thing that's different is you plug in a different person in that spot, but all the rest of it, he knows how it goes. So that's why we practice it this way, and always do it the same way. And pretty soon you build up to him meeting a bunch of different people, and he won't be so scared anymore because he's met a bunch of people that way. Sit. We always control boundaries. Front door is really important. He sits, he waits, you step through first. You're accentuating the fact that this is your boundary, not his. The ultimate lesson to him is that he never goes through a doorway or a gateway or a curb unless he goes through with you, calmly. Okay, just like this. I'm going to also go inside and come out again. See how I'm always turning into him? If I have to turn around, I always use my body and turn into him. So in here, I'm going to close the front door. I'm going to have him sit, and I'm going to open the door. It's much harder for a dog to stay in a sit stay when you have him sit first and then open the door. So always do it that way, which if you practice in a harder way, you'll get better. Okay, it's just a more beneficial exercise to him, for him, if you do it that way. Sit. So I just brought him closer to the doorway so you could see him better. I step out. He waits till I come back. Okay. And then I get to do another left turn because I need to close the door. Well, these left turns are really important. It's a very dominant move to do this. It keeps the leash loose. Your biggest enemy with any dog is a tight leash. Stresses them out, makes them over time become overstimulated, all this kind of stuff, or doing this and all that kind of stuff, letting him pull you out on the street with a tight leash. And it definitely leads to anxiety in him and a reactive state of mind. Some dogs, it can lead to aggression because they, over the days and weeks that pass of the pulling and the tight leashes, they get more and more stressed out and they can start doing inappropriate things over time. So make sure you're always stepping into him, and it'll keep the leash loose most of the time. And also, that's a little, every time you do that, it's a little dose of dominance. He needs to know that somebody's in charge and taking care of him. And there's a number of little moves that we're doing that are safe, although dominant, but very safe, not threatening, to make him feel safe. If he feels safe with us, with you, whoever takes over after this, he's going to be less insecure and less skittish, and we keep building him up over time. So let's go do the rest of the boundaries. Okay. This is a very important boundary for him. Scary boundary because this is the gate out to the street. So I'm having him sit here. He's waiting. I'm stepping out. He waits till I come back next to him. I say, okay. I'm going to have him sit again, closer. Sit. When he gets scared sometimes, he'll lock up, so you might have to switch from having your left hand holding the leash to your right hand to pull straight up with some gentle but firm pressure, steady pressure, and then your left hand can ease his butt down at the same time that you do that. As soon as his butt hits the ground, you release the leash. You're not choking, you're not hanging, you're not popping him constantly, you're doing exactly the way I just showed you. I step out, I step back. Okay. Do my little left turn, close the gate. Big boundary. Just think if for the next 3 months, whenever he goes on a walk, if he goes every day like you've been going here, he always stops at curbs and he always waits. But you just handle him calmly and gently. You'll get him through it. Step back. I try to do extra by walking around him. That might be a little bit too much too soon. Okay, we're about to start the walk, but before we do, we walk across the street calmly. And then over here, we're gonna have him sit and release him. Loose leash always, remember, and then go. Now the walk can start, and we're gonna take him over to Home Depot and see how he does today. Okay, buddy, let's go. Keep filming. Do you see how I have the leash over my left hand? If you do it this way, it's very easy. You're never doing this. There's never a reason to do this, ever. You've got it on your left hand, so he's secure. If he pulls you, for example, let him go to the end of the leash and just tap it a little bit like that. He'll probably come running back to you. It doesn't take any kind of strength for this, but it does take just a little bit of kind of like leash handling etiquette 101. You tap and release, tap and release. If you restrain him and there's continuous tension, you'll teach him how to pull. So you're never going to do that. You're going to use the leash the way that you see us doing it here. And then worst case scenario, let's say he's so into something he's pulling and it's really bad. Come, call him back to you. Good boy. And he'll turn around and see you back away, and he'll come your way just like that. His recall is already getting pretty good, but you see how when you back away, the dog is drawn to you. If you stand still, it's not going to be half as good. And if you want him to have a really great recall, you always back away when you say come, and it draws the dog to you every time, and you have this little target that he's used to. Good. Coming to, it opens up, he gets a treat. But even if you don't have a treat, in an emergency, he'll still come to this, and it could save his life someday. So always practice the recall exactly like this. Okay. But here we are, and we're out in public, and it would be, you know, you don't get much more activity than this in public. So that's why we're showing how he is here. And he's, you could check the 2 videos, and I know that he's a little bit more comfortable here because he'd never be able to do anything like come, like this, sit before. he can do a little sit stay if I help him, which he couldn't do here before. And he may or may not take chicken breast. I can always tell that he's starting to calm down because he starts taking rewards. He still obviously is going to be, nervous, but he's slowly but surely getting better. Go. So every day that I come here, I spend about 3 minutes here, because with a dog like this, you gradually ease him into environments like this. And really, if he was here for the training, the whole training program with me, I wouldn't bring him here until he was much, much more confident than he is now, because he's not quite ready for this yet. But just in the interest of the project, and we only had a few days to do this, I just wanted to show you his progression, and hopefully whoever takes him after me will keep doing this, because you can see that he's already getting better in a short period of time. But if you take him out somewhere and you hang out for even a half an hour, and God forbid you spend 2-3 hours at a dog adoption event, which is just crazy and not good for a dog like this, he's not going to get better. It's too much too soon. So if you do take him out, whoever's doing this is the busiest place that we have in this area, but maybe you take him just somewhere where it's in public and you're going to see a few people, and you leave before he starts getting afraid, and you build up gradually the amount of time that you spend out there. And he's ready to go back now because there's too much going on. So always, when you start doing this, short periods of time, and while he's doing well, if you can do that, and gradually build up. Like that he would have been pulling and trying to run away from that. So he's a little bit less scared, but not ready to do training here yet, like the other dogs you see on the YouTube channel. So let's go back. Okay. I want to show you just how Comet will be with you once you've done this kind of training for a little while. You've gotten to know him. Once he becomes comfortable with you, he gets very happy and friendly and just wants to hang out around you. If you need to hook him up to a leash, he still for a while might shy away from you. For a long time, a couple of weeks, I came out with something special. A little tiny piece of a hot dog, or a little piece of string cheese, or a piece of chicken breast, because you can buy frozen chicken breast and chop it up, and it's great treats for dogs. Just something special, and I would come out, and he would take it, and I'd be able to just hook him up. And I did that for a couple weeks, but then he would just start coming to me, and I didn't have to use that anymore. Now you see, he just wants to be hooked up. I'm not wearing treats or anything. So you use the treat as a way to teach him that everything is safe, and a way to motivate him to learn all this new stuff. But over time, like with all the dogs, you want to phase the treats out really as soon as possible. I usually phase the treats out for most training in 3 to 5 weeks, although you might be using a food reward for a while with a sticking point, something that he's still having trouble with. But if you're phasing it out for all the things that he knows how to do, like a sit or whatever, I don't give him treats now for sit, because once they know how to do it and they do it all day long, you don't want to squander your power on things that, which is the treat, on things that are easy for him to do. You're always phasing it out for easy stuff and always using it for the challenging little things that you're trying to teach him. So that's just a little word on treats. In general, if you phase the treats out quicker, the training gets stronger after you phase the treats out. And then, of course, you can give him a reward every once in a while, but he never knows when it's coming. And maybe, for sit, if you practice a difficult sit stay, maybe he gets one treat a day for that, or something like that. One treat, or just a couple of times a day for come, and the rest of the times nothing. That's just an example. You're always phasing the treats out, and when you do that, training gets stronger.